So on page 5 in the textbook is where you can find a description of that particular Equal Access Act of 1984. It's page 5 to page 6. And then also if you look on this slide in the deck, there is a description and some questions for you to discuss. So as we go on into the slides and talking about American political culture, there are certain terms here that you need to become familiar with. At the end of my lecture notes, I've given you about 6 bullet points of terms that you need to familiarize yourself with so that you can understand when we say natural and inalienable rights, what are we talking about and where does that come from? The individual John Locke, Locke, is credited with this idea of a social contract, right? The idea that all human beings have natural and inalienable rights that are intrinsic to them, right? And that because of the age of enlightenment, we need to stop with the practice, King George, of off with someone's head when they disagree with you, or someone wants to practice or follow a different religion or have their own opinion or just establish their own wealth, that is not against the idea that we all have rights where we can think and do what we feel is right for us in terms of pursuing freedom and liberty and happiness. So this period of enlightenment is important. I talked about it last week in class. There's the period before the period of enlightenment and the period after. And after is very important because that whole time period influences the writings and research and beliefs of John Locke, who then in turn influences Thomas Jefferson as he is authoring the Declaration of Independence, where he pulls very heavily from the writings of John Locke and others like him, like Sir Francis Bacon, like Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and others. So going through this kind of sets up the stage for why the colonists broke from England to begin with. The fact that they had no representation, standing armies were threatened against them in their homes and in their places of business, unfair taxes imposed, no representation, but still taxation by the king. And, the idea that we want to set up our own country, not based upon a national hereditary or ancestry type position, but more of an idealistic, the idea that government is for the people, by the people, and should be ruled by the people. Elected representatives should represent the will and the power of the people. And so one of the ways we ran into a problem right now in contemporary America is because the people could be anybody and everybody. We are a country who welcomes all religions, all creeds, all ways of living a life, lifestyles. And so oftentimes when you think about a pluralistic government, right, or participatory democracy, those interests sometimes and oftentimes come into conflict with each other. Okay. So the idea of a popular sovereignty. So when you have a sovereign government, that means the government is in control and is first and foremost and outweighs any other doctrine in the land. Popular sovereignty then means that the right to rule comes from the people, the popular will of the people. And then this idea of republicanism, the authority of the government that comes from the people, speaks especially to a representative government, one that is run by elected officials, and those officials are put into office by open and fair elections by the people in the society. All right. I want to go to the end of the slides. I want to focus on some of the terms that you're going to need to make yourself familiar with. And this is kind of the end of that section. Constitutional republic, a democratic system with elected representatives that focus on one document. And that one document is the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. The idea and the importance of political institutions working together executive, legislative, and judiciary working together and providing a system of checks and balances on the other. That is a bedrock and a foundational belief of our system of government in the United States. Not like that in some other countries, by the way. Um, all right, that's the end of the slides. I know I kind of went fast through them, but I'm going to put my lecture notes out on Google Classroom. I would say please go through my lecture notes and pay attention to this last bullet point where I have six sections of terms that you need to kind of familiarize yourself with. And then as we go into class this week and next, we will be having some activities to kind of help you sort through those terms and understand what the differences are between the kinds of democracies, what republicanism is, what popular sovereignty means, elitism, and some other things. Okay, I wish you well. I will see you in class on Wednesday and Friday this week. Have a nice day.